They smile. You smile back, but deep inside, something feels wrong. You sense it. You just can't prove it. They laugh with you, but their hearts are somewhere else. You feel like you're drowning in a sea of faces that pretend to love you. They speak your name with sweetness, but it's covered in poison. You hear their praise, but behind closed doors, your name burns on their tongues. You try to believe them. You want to. But there's a shadow in their eyes, a flicker of envy too quick to catch unless you're watching closely. And you are. You're watching. You're feeling everything. Every moment they shift. Every time they pretend. They want to see you fall. They want it quietly, low. They won't push you off the edge. No. They'll smile and walk beside you, waiting for you to trip. And when you do, they'll sigh and whisper, "I tried to help them." It breaks something inside you. Not because of what they did, but because you trusted them. You believed in the handshake. Low. You believed in the hug. You thought their words had weight. But now, everything feels like smoke. They don't hate you openly. That would be too easy. They need your trust to kill you slowly. Hypocrisy is not loud. It's quiet. It's calculated. It wears perfume. It wears kindness. It speaks the language of love while digging graves behind the scenes. And when you see it, truly see it, it shatters your peace. You wonder who else wears the mask. You start looking closer. Your heart starts hardening. Not because you want it to, but because it has to. Below, you can't keep giving yourself to people who clap when you bleed. They don't want to destroy your body. They want your mind. They want your spirit. Because if they can break that, you'll silence yourself. You'll stop dreaming. You'll stop fighting. And they win. That's what they want. They want you silent. They want you second, guessing yourself. They want you doubting your every move because they know how powerful you are if you believe in yourself. So they pretend to support you, just enough to keep you from leaving, but never enough to let you rise. And it's hard. It's lonely. It feels like betrayal is in every corner. You try to pray, but the tears fall too fast. You try to sleep, but the pain echoes. You sit in silence wondering why people can be so kind and so cruel at the same time, and you start to change, not in bitterness, but in clarity. You begin to recognize the patterns. You begin to hear what's not being said. You feel what's hidden in the room. You start moving quieter, watching more, trusting less, and it hurts, but it also saves you. Because now, you're not blind. You're not desperate for love from broken souls. You realize your worth is not found in their approval. Your peace is not built on their applause. You learn to love the silence. You learn to walk alone. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your light. Let them say what they want. Let them believe what they believe. Your truth doesn't need defending. It just needs time. And time always tells. Let their masks slip on their own. You don't have to expose anyone. Just stay true. Just stay strong. And when it gets hard, and it will, remember this, some of the kindest faces hide the darkest intentions. If it is not your job to fix them, it's your job to protect your spirit. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Slow. Some only come close to break it from the inside. They are not your enemies. They are your lessons, and they taught you well. So now, you don't hate them. You thank them, because their betrayal built you. Their lies taught you truth, below, and their hypocrisy pushed you into a version of yourself that no one can break again. You've seen their smiles, you've heard their praise, but now you know better, and knowing is everything. Because now, no matter what they say or how close they get, you will never again forget what their silence sounded like when you were in pain. And that memory alone will keep you safe. Keep walking, keep rising, keep smiling, but this time, with eyes wide open. They talk, they twist, they lie, but you stay silent. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You could speak. You could scream. You could shatter their false stories in seconds. But you don't. Because silence holds power they can't understand. They think you're quiet means you're afraid. They think you've given up. They have no idea you're watching, listening, learning. You hear the whispers. You hear your name in rooms you've never walked into. You feel the weight of their fake concern, their pretend loyalty. They act like friends, but plot like enemies. And every time you stay quiet, it eats at them. Because they want chaos, they want your reaction. They want you to lose control, to make you look unstable. But you don't give them that pleasure. You sit with the pain. You swallow the betrayal. and you keep moving. That burns them more than your words ever could. Silence is your sword. It cuts deep. They speak lies with confidence. They fool the world for a moment. But truth has a strange way of rising. Without you lifting a single finger, they want to provoke you. They want to bait you. They want your anger to justify their hate. But you walk away. Not because it doesn't hurt. It does. It rips you in places no one can see. Below. But you're playing the long game. You're protecting your energy. Every word you don't say becomes a wall between you and their poison. They can't reach you. Below. That's why they're louder. That's why they mock you. That's why they gather others to whisper louder, hoping their echo will shake you. Below. But you're unshaken. You've learned that fire dies when there's no fuel. You've learned that some battles are won by walking away. Not every truth needs to be shouted. Not every insult deserves a response. They measure strength in volume, but your strength is silence. They watch you smile, confused. They wonder how you're still standing, still glowing, still growing. And that haunts them. Because they failed. They couldn't break you. They couldn't drag you down. And now they sit in their circle, still talking, still pretending. But you're rising in silence. They hear nothing from you, and yet your silence screams. It screams truth. It screams peace. It screams dignity. Below, they don't know what to do with someone who doesn't fight dirty. Someone who doesn't defend themselves in the mud. And they hate it. They hate that you still carry grace, that you still walk with calm, that you still sleep with a clear conscience. Because they don't. They're tormented by their lies, haunted by their guilt. But you sleep, you rest, you heal. They may never say sorry. They may never admit what they did. That's okay, because your silence already exposed them, not to the world, but to themselves, below. And that's the worst punishment of all. They can't run from who they are. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to convince anyone. Time will speak, God will reveal, and your silence will echo in their lives louder than any speech you could give. You don't stay quiet because you don't know how to fight. You stay quiet because you know exactly when not to. And that is strength. That is power. That is wisdom. They thought they had you figured out, but now they sit in confusion. You're not angry. You're not bitter. You're just done. Done playing along. Done trying to fix what they were committed to breaking. You've outgrown the war. You've risen above the noise. And in your silence, there is thunder. In your stillness, there is fire. They won't understand it. They'll keep talking, but you'll keep rising quietly, powerfully, beautifully. And one day they'll realize your silence wasn't surrender. It was your greatest revenge. Below, they thought you'd break. They saw your tears and mistook them for weakness. They watched you stumble and whispered that it was over for you. They smiled when you were down. They celebrated when you disappeared. But what they didn't know was that you were not falling apart. You were being rebuilt. Quietly, slowly, with pain in your chest and fire in your bones. You've walked through nights that never seemed to end. You've sat in silence with screams trapped inside you. You've cried until your body was numb. But you didn't break. You bent. You cracked. But you didn't shatter. They pushed you to the edge, hoping you'd jump. But instead, you flew. You rose with wounds still bleeding, with faith barely holding on. You weren't supposed to survive. Not after what they did. Not after what life threw at you. But you did. Because something inside you refused to die. You didn't ask for this strength. Life forced it into you. Trial after trial, lie after lie, betrayal after betrayal. You kept going, with nothing but your breath and a quiet voice inside saying, just one more step. They called you weak. They said you were too soft. But softness is not weakness. Your heart has been broken 1,000 times, and still, it beats with love. That's not weakness, that's power. That's survival. They tried to silence you, to make you small, to make you question your worth. But they underestimated the storm that lives in your soul. You've seen the dark. You've lived in it. But you didn't become it. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. Because you carry light in places most people would have surrendered to the dark. They don't know the weight you've carried. They don't know the nights you begged God for strength just to breathe. They don't know how many times you've had to heal in secret while pretending to be okay in public. But you know. And that's enough. You weren't built to be ordinary. You weren't made to quit. You're not broken. You're battle tested. You're scarred, but still standing. Below, and every scar tells a story of a fight you won. They don't see the war behind your smile. They don't know how hard it was just to show up, to keep going, to not give in. But that's what makes your story powerful. You don't need to explain your pain to anyone. You've earned your peace. You've earned your silence. And still, they wonder how you do it. How you shine after everything. It's because you've been through what would have killed someone else. And you didn't just survive. You transformed. You rose higher. You loved deeper. Low. You walked through fire and came out gold. And that's what scares them. That's what they can't understand. You've been through hell, but you still look like heaven. You still believe. You still love. You still dream. Because they forgot. When the soul refuses to quit, no force on earth can stop it. You didn't need saving. You needed remembering. You needed to remember who you were before they hurt you, before they lied, before they walked away. And now you do. Now you see yourself again. And this version of you, this unbreakable, unshakable, untouchable version, they can't control it. They can't hurt it. They can't destroy it. So they'll talk. They'll judge. They'll try again. Let them. Because now you walk in truth, in power, in purpose, and no matter what comes next, below, you'll face it the way you faced everything else. Head up, heart strong, and soul on fire. Because you were never built to break. They think you don't know. They believe their masks are perfect. That their smiles are convincing. That their words fool you. But you see it. You feel it. You sense it in the way they hug you too tightly. In the way they compliment you with a crooked grin. In the way they act like they care, below, but their eyes betray them. It's in the silence after you leave, in the glances they exchange when you speak, in the sudden pauses when you enter the room. They think they've hidden it well, but your spirit has learned to read shadows. Your soul has learned to detect betrayal without a word. You smile, but you know. You laugh, but you know. You sit among them, but you're not with them. They think you're blind. They think your kindness means you're unaware, but you are painfully aware. You've always known. You just stayed quiet because you needed time. You needed proof. You needed to watch them. You needed to study every move. So you waited in silence, in stillness, with eyes wide open. Every fake hug, every soft knife, every whisper behind your back. You felt them all. And still, you said nothing because you were learning who they really were. And now you know. Low, now the picture is clear, and what hurts the most is not that they were enemies, it's that they were once your people. The ones you trusted, the ones you prayed for, the ones you would have bled for, and they turned, quietly, carefully, with a smile on their lips and a dagger behind their back. They wanted you close so they could strike better. They wanted your trust so they could betray deeper. And now you sit in the quiet, holding the weight of all you've discovered. It's cold. It stings in places no one can see. But even in this pain, there is power. Because now you are free. Free from illusions. Free from false love. Free from walking with snakes dressed as friends. You don't have to pretend anymore. Below, you don't have to keep holding hands that were never holding you back. You're done clapping for people who were praying for your downfall. Below, you're done opening doors for those who would slam them in your face. You've outgrown the lies. You've outlived the betrayal. You've awakened. And now, there's no going back. You'll never unsee it. You'll never unfeel it. And though it breaks your heart, it strengthens your soul. Because now you walk alone, but you walk in truth. You walk lighter. You walk wiser. And that scares them. Because the version of you that trusted blindly is gone. The version of you that tolerated disrespect is gone. The version of you that kept forgiving poison is buried. And what stands now is unshakable, quiet, focused, dangerous, because you've lost what you needed to lose, and gained what you never had before, clarity. You see them now, all of them. You know who they are. You know what they're about, and you won't say a word, because exposure isn't your job. Your healing is. Your peace is. Your silence will speak. Your growth will scream. And when they come back, and they will, with old smiles and familiar lies, you won't need to explain anything. You'll just smile and walk past, not in hate, not in revenge, but in power, because you've already won. You survived what was meant to destroy you. And now, below, you live in truth while they hide behind masks. Let them pretend. Let them talk. Let them watch. Because the real ones never needed an audience. And the strongest ones always walk alone.